That should be a prerequisite before every time I talk now. People get up and move, so energy, more energy in the room. All right, so I want to talk to you about this idea of how electricity is being transformed using digital. And when ETS approached us, this was kind of a no-brainer. The energy out here is great, and in fact, we bought a whole crew. There's a lot of people from GE today, and we're not shy about sharing our point of view. Just to mentally spar with you, that's why we're here, and to engage with you and learn with you. So I hope you come and find us throughout the sessions and have conversations with us and tell us what you're thinking and what we should be paying attention to. So let's get started. So my name is Ganesh Bell. As mentioned, I'm the first ever Chief Digital Officer in GE. I joined GE a little more than 3 years ago. I've worked most of my career in enterprise software and in Silicon Valley. And I have this belief that every industry, every business will be reimagined with software. So when I got the job offer, I had to, do I really believe my own bullshit and just jump right in, right? So when I think about electricity, and you guys know this very, very well, this industry really hasn't changed over the last 100 years. In fact, our founder, Thomas Edison, would still recognize this industry. Maybe not some of the cool icons in here about wind turbines and so on, but he would recognize this simple model of a linear flow of electrons from generation through transmission to distribution and consumption. But something's happening in the last decade. This model's being challenged, tested, pushed, and even disrupted at the edges. And it's actually accelerating over the last 5 years. If you think about distributed energy, everybody knows it's here to stay. About 2 years ago, it was about 130 gigawatts. And it's going to be about 500 gigawatts over the next 7 years. It's here to stay. It's going to alter the landscape of how we view electricity. And in 2015, in Germany, they had to curtail over 1,600 gigawatts of renewable power. That's a dramatic increase than the year before. Yes, in North America, the only thing that's predictable is that our load is not going up that fast, but across the world, there's lots of different changes that are happening. And consumption is getting intelligent. In Abu Dhabi, there was an initiative to increase the temperature of buildings by 1 degree. And just 1 degree means elimination of almost 200 megawatt of a power plant. That's the impact on the electricity network. And I'm sure many of you can fill this page with lots of different use cases, right? Whether it's microgrids or whether it's California or New York or other areas going 50% renewables by a certain year, like 2030, or even EV charging or electrification. It's a whole new opportunity. Many of these things are challenges, but many of these things are also opportunities. To really address all of these challenges and opportunity, I would tell you digital is probably the biggest transformation this industry will ever see. All of these transformations will be enabled by digital, and you need digital to fundamentally change the industry. And that's the question we asked ourselves over 3 years ago. We asked a simple question that, yes, you need to understand the electrons and how it's generated, how it's transmitted, or how it's consumed, but the real thing you need to understand is the data that goes with that electron. So a simple question that we started our journey over about 3 years ago is, what if every electron had a data bit? What can you do? We believe we can transform this entire industry from a linear model to a network model. This has happened in every industry that digital's reimagined, right? Linear models become network models. Linear business models become network business models. And this is about to happen in what we call the electricity value network. A network in which there's a flow of not just electrons, but flow of electrons and data in multiple directions, where every node is an active participant, is a responsive participant in that network. So a generation node is aware of the demands in the grid. A consumption node is aware of the demand response it has to perform on the grid. So this is what we call the electricity value network. But what is the fascination with data in that network? Let me give you some simple examples. Today, a modern power plant generates terabytes of data. And we already have algorithms that are using 10-second interval data of a wind turbine, and we've got many that are now using sub-second data at the edge in a wind farm. And the number of devices is only exploding. There's going to be about 7 billion devices by 2020, and over 20 billion devices by 2025 in the electricity value network. And we don't know what we don't know. If you think about a Google or a Amazon, they're all in businesses today that they never thought when they started. They got started with something very simple, but they started following the digital data exhaust of their customers and ended up in so many different businesses. So it is highly possible that the electricity industry, the utilities, can end up in businesses that we can't even imagine today. But how well are we prepared for this onslaught of digital and the reimagination of our industry with software? Bad news, good news. Bad news is we are one of the least digitally mature industries that's out there. This is a study that MIT Sloan did. But the good news is, as a culture, we're more prepared. Because our obsession with KPIs and metrics and operations optimization and heat rate and efficiency has led us to a very data-obsessed culture of operations that you can actually use that to your advantage. Sorry about the click. So the size of this data is big. Our preparedness is good. Our maturity is pretty bad. But what is the size of the opportunity, really? And the World Economic Forum did an initiative, and actually it's a multi-year running initiative. They're going to run this for several more years now. They started about 3 years ago to understand the impact of digital in every single industry. And they've done this in healthcare, in transportation, in logistics, in consumer, and also in electricity. So this is a study they did with many of your peers, CEOs, CXOs across power producers, energy service providers, and utilities across the world. Many of your peers believe that digital means you can predict 75% of your breakdowns. We actually believe it can be higher. 8% of the world's electricity that gets generated never reaches a consumer. Even if we optimize fractions of that, that's powering whole new economies. And in a world where consumers of electricity are becoming prosumers or producers of electricity, utilities have to evolve with the customers and create a new business model beyond just selling electrons and integrating customers more into their business. And this has massive value. The value there is about $1.3 trillion just by adopting digital technologies. This is not from all the other things that you're already doing. This is purely by adopting digital technologies, $1.3 trillion over the next 10 years. And more than $2 trillion of value societally. That's decarbonizing the world and creating new jobs, 3 million new jobs at the intersection of energy and software. So we got started on this vision way before the study was done, but we had a similar belief that this is about to happen, and we created a purpose-built digital industrial stack. Many of you know GE as a hardware and a services company, but we've been building a software company quietly inside for the last 4 or 5 years. And this idea of a platform or an operating system for what we call the industrial internet. People talk about IoT for like Internet of Things, for devices, wearables, and so on, but we're an industry that's, the assets are not that disposable. It's not an iPhone that you change every 12 months, right? So you need a different kind of a platform, especially a platform where, if you think about many CIOs and IT people here understand technology platforms as platforms that are built for applications like ERP and CRM where humans enter data. This is a whole new world where machines are talking and machines are generating massive amounts of data. So we created a purpose-built platform that we call Predix. And the easier way to understand that is just like Facebook understands your social graph and LinkedIn understands your professional graph, Predix will help you understand all of the industrial graph across the entire enterprise, whether it's GE, non-GE, whether it's a small valve or a pump or a giant gas turbine, to substations, to even buildings or consumption points across the entire electricity value network. In fact, we're using this platform in many other industries like healthcare and transportation and aviation and so on. But the key innovation on top of this platform is we can build what we call a digital twin. And on top of that twin, we can build applications. So what is a digital twin? A digital twin is a virtual copy of the physical asset. Because we understand many of these assets, we can combine everything from thermal models, performance models, operational models, transient models, lifing models, heat rate, predictive analytics. I can give you a whole host of examples. We've got over 5,000 patents just in generation. And there are a lot of algorithms that are trained on more than 120 million hours of operating data. So we can build not just a theoretical digital twin, we can build a digital twin that's enriched with operational data from the real world. And if we can do that in one area, we can do that across gas turbines, wind turbines, and even power plants and substations and buildings and across the entire electricity value network. And this is yielding massive results, meaning we can generate more energy from the same wind, 5 to 10%, using digital technologies. And over the life of a gas-fired power plant, we can generate anywhere from $50 to $250 million of additional value, from eliminating unplanned downtime to improving productivity to improving profitability. And we're doing this through a suite of applications. Applications that we call asset performance management, operations optimization, and business optimization. And all of these applications are agnostic across all of the machines, whether it's GE or non-GE or any kind of asset in your environment. The easiest way to think about it is asset performance management is a suite of applications that helps you eliminate unplanned downtime and improve reliability. Operations optimization is about connecting workers with business processes and the machines and the industrial settings that it sits in. It's about improving productivity. Productivity of your machines, productivity of your employee, productivity of your business processes. And business optimization is about connecting all of that to market signals and data and improving your profitability. One way to understand it is just like your peers in your company, like a head of HR has HR software, a CFO has financials, heads of generation, heads of grid operation now have applications to run their business with these suite of applications. And we have the largest portfolio of applications across the entire electricity network. And you can consume them in a software as a service business model just like you consume any other SaaS application. But behind these applications are deep analytics, a growing catalog of analytics that today represent the largest collection of data and analytics and predictive analytics across the entire electricity network. And because of that, we can go right to the heart of the value with our customers. Because our customers care about outcomes, we can let you subscribe to our outcomes. Outcomes like reducing fuel consumption or emissions. And we can let you buy this outcome as a subscription along with the software. It's a whole new business model for us, and it makes it easier for many of our customers to get started on a digital journey. Now, let me give you quick examples on how we're delivering this value. And these analytics are actually getting improved every year, and as they learn and get trained on more data, and our predictive analytics gets improved. This is one of my favorite stories. A2A is a leading multi-utility in northern Italy, and with increased proliferation of renewables and competitiveness in the ancillary services market, they had to shut down their northern Italy plant in Chivasso. They mothballed it, shut it down. We actually approached them and said, hey, can we model your power plant? Because we want to understand if it can actually be operational or even be competitive. So by modeling it in digital twin, we actually showed the customer that not only can they operate this power plant, but they can be profitable in bank hours. And we deployed our software predicts, APM, operations optimization, and we reopened the power plant in 2016. Now, they're one of the biggest believers in digital because it was a mothballed power plant. They reopened. There are other benefits to it, too, human benefits like jobs coming back to the region. And that's a great thing for the head of operations to see. So for every story you hear about disruption, there are positive stories of a transformation that you can actually drive with digital. NRG in Hunterstown wanted to keep their existing maintenance windows, but get more out of their assets based on market pricing of data. So they wanted to overfire on peak days and run cooler on other days. Through the combination of our software and analytics, we were able to give them that flexibility, which is worth about $5 million just in one site. And now they're deploying it across many other power plants. And Exelon, one of the leading utilities in North America, started the journey actually purely from an IT side, interestingly. The CIO came to us in a project, hey, I keep reading about this thing called Internet of Things or industrial internet and data and big data. What can I do? So can you get your buddies in thermal and wind and nuclear and come and sit with us? So we did a design thinking workout, just like the last session, getting deeper into their outcomes, with the goal that we may solve a problem and we have no stake in it. We just end up solving the customer's problem. It came rise to a whole new opportunity where now they're deploying predicts, APM, operations optimization, and the full suite of applications that we have across their entire generation, across 62 sites, across nuclear, across fossil, across wind. And they're continuing their journey with actually building their own applications. In fact, they see predicts as an innovation platform. And I would tell you, having been in enterprise software, this is a favorite thing for me. It's like when you look at, there's a study done of survey of CIOs and CEOs and COOs and, across utilities, and many of you believe that the industry will radically change over the next 10 years. Radically. But it won't change a whole lot in the next 5 years. If there's something in digital, it tells you that digital acceleration is much faster. And I would tell you 2016 was a tipping point. It's not just a North American phenomena or a European phenomena, it's a global phenomena. It's happening. Many of these companies out here are some of the examples of companies that are well on their digital transformation journey. And many of our customers ask us about, hey, how do you get started on digital? And I would tell you, yes, deploying these applications, getting digital in your operations is important, but you also have to transform your entire company. And GE is the largest digital transformation network, arguably. So we know a thing or two about changing cultures, introducing ideas like design thinking or lean startup, or changing the metrics on how we measure ourselves, or even transforming our talent, and we can actually help you with that. So I would tell you to kind of get started on your digital transformation journey. And the number one thing people ask me about is like, how do I get started? What do I do first? I say there's only one thing to do first, which is you've got to have a deep belief system. You got to, if your CEO, your COO, your C-suite doesn't have a belief around digital, your job is to help them get that belief system that digital's the biggest transformation that's going to happen. And you've got to go big and think about what are the things that you can do in terms of critical control points of application, data, and outcomes. If all else fails, I would tell you to think about where you want to be parked, which is like, how many of you heard Sheryl Crow? OK, some of you. All right. She thinks if you don't have digital, you don't have diddly squat. So that's where you want to be parked. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you so much.